The Paranormal Tourist. It's a weekly podcast show on Spotify featuring the regular hosts Tom, Danny and Ross, often with weird and wonderful guests and experts. They always talk about the paranormal and strange weirdness, with the emphasis on places that you can visit. During the lockdown, they have concentrated on places to visit that can be done while socially distancing. So please welcome the Paranormal Tourist!
Welcome to the Paranormal Tourist. I am not your host, Tom Jordan, and I am not your paranormal expert, Ross Andrews. I am the other one. I am Danny Magellan, and I am here for a mini episode of Paranormal Tourist for the first virtual Cheltenham Craft Beer Festival. Now, today I'm going to be talking about a couple of places that you can go and visit to do some spook spotting. Now, the information, you'll be pleased to know, does not come from Amazing Spooks and Mysteries, nor is it from an episode of Strange But True. Our paranormal expert, Ross Andrews, may not be here. However, he has provided us with the information I'm going to relay to you. However, if you are going to these places, please bear in mind we are still in Lurgy lockdown, and therefore please maintain all social distancing rules. Please, if you are taking any picnics or drinks or anything else with you, please take your rubbish away. Don't touch anything, wash your hands, and ideally wear a mask if you can. Okay, let's get started. Our first place is Bishop's Cleeve. One gentleman who would consider himself of sound mind saw a phantom in the church, and he witnessed whilst taking communion. This particular act of worship requires you to kneel down at an altar, which this witness's wife and daughter were doing. He, however, was patiently standing with his son, waiting until it was their turn. His wife was kneeling with about 14 other people from the congregation, and he noticed there was someone kneeling there who was rather unusually dressed. The figure appeared to be wearing what looked like a smock-like coat with a white collar. The coat had a belt around it, and rather surprisingly, the character had old-style knee breeches and black silk stockings. Suffice to say, this character most certainly looked out of place, for rarely do you have fancy dress communion. You do get some strange religious orders that wear all sorts of costumes and outfits that somehow make them more devout, so our witness put it down to a rather eccentric order of some sort. This pilgrim father type of figure left his mind as he then took his turn. Medical history written up in a book for all to see. I will say that it ended in one person being hospitalized for his own mental health. We always say that no one has ever been harmed by a ghost, but beware, if you are on the edge of a nervous breakdown, ghost hunting may not be the hobby for you. Bishop's Cleeve is a lovely little town just outside Cheltenham that you can go and visit. It's a beautiful area in the Cotswolds and plenty of areas to walk, and the church is in the centre of town. And like we say, please adhere to social distancing and be respectful of the area and the church, and don't leave any litter or do any damage whilst you're there. Don't touch anything, and if you do, please wash your hands. Now, our second story is from Pittville Lake, the White Lady specifically. There is a tale of a ghost that wanders around the lake. She appears as a white figure floating along, sometimes over the lake and sometimes to the side of it. She is not the same as the reputed witch that once lived there. One explanation could be mist rising off the lake, forming into pockets and air currents, giving the appearance of an upright figure. Remember, as Ross tells us, the brain immediately tries to put everything it sees into categories. And if it sees something of vaguely human size and shape, it assumes it is a human. Then, when the mist dissipates, the brain gets confused and may start thinking along the lines of ghosts to try and explain what it saw. Or, is there really a ghost that hovers around this lake? There is a story of a young woman killing herself by drowning in the lake. She was heading towards the hospital and feared she was going to be diagnosed with cancer, and as the story goes, decided to kill herself rather than go through with the suffering. Now, apparently the post-mortem did not actually discover cancer, and it's reported this spirit has been seen even by members of her own family. Now, Pittville Lake is, as you may suspect, round Pittville Park, and again that is an area that you can walk around. It leads up to the Pittville Pump Rooms. It's a very beautiful area, but again, please keep your social distancing, take your rubbish with you, and wear a mask if you can, and keep on washing your hands. Singing happy birthday optional, but make sure you do it thoroughly. So, I hope we've given you a few spooks to head off and try and find. Remember, every week on Spotify, we have a new episode of The Paranormal Tourist, giving you places all over the country that you can visit. And don't forget, if you're wearing your Dominic Cummings mask, you can drive as far as you want. We do not advise following his lead, and we would also like to remind everyone that driving is not a successful way of testing your eyes. But you all knew that. Stay safe, stay sane, and keep spook spotting from everyone here at the Paranormal Tourists.